To the citizens of Peru, Indiana, this is your Mayor, Miles Hewitt. I'm coming to you to give a little bit of more insight on the coronavirus disease, COVID-19. First thing I want to do is reiterate some of the things on how the coronavirus spreads. And also how to protect yourself. Older adults and people who have severe underlying medical conditions like heart or lung disease or diabetes seem to be at a higher risk for developing more serious complications from the COVID-19 illness. More information on are you at higher risk for the illness and how it spreads. There is currently no vaccine to prevent coronavirus disease. The best way to prevent the illness is to avoid being exposed in the first place. The virus is thought to spread mainly from person to person. Between people who are in close contact with another, stay at least 6 feet. Another step is clean your hands often. Wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, especially after you've been in a public place or after blowing your nose, coughing, or sneezing. If soap and water is not available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Avoid close contact with other people. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Put a distance between yourself and others at least 6 feet. Stay home if you're sick, except to get medical care and learn what to do if you are sick. Cover your coughs and sneezes. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze, or use the inside of your elbow. Throw used tissues in the trash. Immediately wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Here again, if you don't have soap and water available, use a hand sanitizer that contains at least 60% alcohol. Wear a face mask if you're sick. If you are sick, you should wear a face mask when you're around other people, sharing a room, vehicle, before you enter a healthcare provider's office. If you're not allowed to wear a mask or face mask because it causes trouble breathing, then you should do your best to cover your coughs and sneezes. And the people you're caring for, the people caring for you, should wear a face mask if they enter your room. If you're not sick, you don't need to wear a face mask unless you're dealing with somebody who is sick and you're in a room with somebody who's sick. Clean and disinfect frequently. Touch surfaces daily, or sometimes more than daily. In the city hall, our janitor's going around. Every time somebody touches a door handle or something, he'll go through at least 3 or 4 times a day to clean that. If surfaces are dirty, clean them. Use detergent, soap, and water prior to disinfection. You use disinfectant to clean countertops, door handles, anything that you have that you touch or other people touch. One of the best things that you can use is the Clorox wipes or hand sanitizers if you don't have them. Another thing that I want to bring to your attention, with the coronavirus going around the way it has now, there has been reports of scammers coming into the picture and trying to get information from you. If you receive a phone call saying they're from the IRS and and there's something wrong with your account, they're going to ask you, these scammers will come at you with all kinds of tricks. They're going to want to know, well, give us your social security number. I've got your last four, but I need the front. Well, if they're who they claim they are, they will have your full social security number. Do not give them any information. There has been several instances where these people have gotten dates of birth, information, social security, what have you. Be alert. Know the signs. Hoosiers can be sure to avoid the hook of a phishing scam this tax season. Phishing scams are often in the form of unsuspected emails or phone calls. They're aggressive. They're telling you, I got one the other day that told me if I didn't give them the information, they were going to have a warrant for my arrest and show up at my doorstep within an hour. And I said, that's all right, come on down. We will deal with that when you get here, and hung up. The Internal Revenue Service, if you get any of these scams, you can email them at phishing, phishing, at irs.gov, or you can call them at 1-800-829-1040. The Indiana Department of Revenue has an investigations, and their email is investigations@dor.in.gov. Their phone number is 317-232-2240, Monday through Friday, 8 to 4. The second number I just gave you there is in case you have been scammed, if you have given the information of your Social Security, your date of birth, and personal information. One last thing I want to leave you on the coronavirus to stop the spread of it that a lot of people don't realize. Take a Clorox wipe with you to the gas pump. Once you get out of your car, wipe down the handle on the gas pump, on the fuel pump. Wipe down the buttons on the fuel pump. Pump your gas, get your receipt, and again, wipe the handles down, because a lot of people do not think about the person that had just touched it before. Today, our governor issued new restraints and restrictions. Also, before I get into that, the county commissioners at 3:47 p.m. put us under an orange travel condition, which means emergency travel only, to and from work, to and from the grocery store. With that being said, the State of Indiana Executive Department, and this is quite lengthy, I will go through and highlight a lot of this for you. Also, I want to say, should you have any questions about this, you can get a hold of me at my office. I am not a Facebook guru. I do not sit and constantly talk on Facebook or anything. I'm on it occasionally, but with my position and my job, I just don't have time to sit at a desk all day long. I have been answering calls and doing what I'm supposed to be doing. So the way this reads, it's a directive for Hoosiers to stay at home. It tells about March 6th, he issued Executive Order 20-02, which declared that a public health emergency exists throughout the state of Indiana as a result of the coronavirus COVID-19. Since then, on March 11th, 2020, The World Health Organization declared coronavirus 19 to be a global pandemic, and on March 13th, the President of the United States declared a national emergency with respect to this dangerous virus. As of the date of this executive order, the virus has now spread to more than 40 counties throughout Indiana and caused several deaths, with these numbers expected to increase in the days ahead. We do have one confirmed case so far in Miami County. On March 16, 2020, the governor issued Executive Order 20-04, which, among other things, established that Indiana would adhere to the guidance of the Center for Disease Control, CDC. He put in a proclamation, the duty of every person of our state, including all government bodies, agencies, and authorities, to cooperate fully and continue on as need be. Despite significant steps being taken in our state, the virus remains a serious threat to health, safety, and welfare. All residents of Indiana and further efforts are needed to address and control and reduce the evolving threat posed by COVID-19. Where it reads, as governor, I have broad authority and powers under Indiana law to declare and respond to public health emergencies on behalf of our state, including but not limited to making, amending, and rescinding the necessary orders, rules, and emergency management and disaster law and its purpose, Indiana Code 10-14-3, Emergency Disaster Law. Emergency disaster law employing any means and giving any directions to the ISDH and local boards of health as is reasonably necessary for securing compliance with the emergency disaster law. The ISDH, which reports to me as governor, also has broad legal authority and powers in connection with public health emergency, Indiana Code 16-19-3, including, for example, the power to do what is reasonable and necessary for the prevention and suppression of disease. In light of the above and after consultation with and the concurrence of the ISDH and its commissioners, it's necessary and proper to take further actions to protect health, safety, and welfare of all Hoosiers. Connection with continuing and evolving threat of COVID-19. Now, therefore, I, Eric Holcomb, by virtue of the authority vested in me as governor by the Indiana Constitution and the laws of the state of Indiana, do hereby order, defining phrases, in order to properly understand the full, complete, and proper meaning of this executive order, please read and consult the definition on the terms, phrases, which are shown by underlying and found throughout the executive order as follows. Essential activities, essential business operations, government functions, essential infrastructure, essential travel, health and public health operation, health care, human and services operations, minimum basic operations, and social distancing that are the requirements. This executive order will be in effect at 11:59 p.m. on March 24th, 2020. It will remain in full force and in effect until 11:59 p.m. on April the 6th, 2020, unless rescinded, modified, or extended by the governor of the state of Indiana. Stay home or place of residence. With the exception outlined below, individuals currently living in the state of Indiana are ordered to stay home or their place of residence except as allowed in this executive order. Individuals experiencing homeless are exempt from this provision, but strongly urged to obtain shelter. Non-essential business and operation must cease. All businesses and operations in the state of Indiana, except for essential businesses and operation, are hereby required to cease all activity within the state, except, however, for minimum base operations as defined below. All essential business and operations are hereby encouraged to remain open. Essential business and operations shall comply with the social distancing requirement, which is the 6 foot, defined by the executive order, for both employees and members of the agency's public at any time, but not limited to when any customers are standing in line. Prohibited activities. All public and private gathering of any number of people that occur outside of a single household or living unit are hereby prohibited, except, however, for the limited purpose permitted by the executive order, any gathering of more than 10 people is hereby prohibited, unless exempt in this government order later on. This is in accordance with the President's coronavirus guidelines issued on March 16th. Nothing of this executive order prohibits the gathering or members of household of residence. All places of public amusement, whether indoors, outdoors, including but not limited to locations with amusement rides, carnivals, amusement parks, water parks, aquariums, zoos, museums, arcades, fairs, children play centers, playgrounds, funplexes, theme park, bowling alleys, movie and other theaters, concerts and music hall, and country clubs or social gathering shall be closed. That includes our city parks for the playground. The park itself will be open to be, you can walk through there. You just can't let your kids play on the playground, on the swings, or anything else. That being because the touch is what is spreading the coronavirus, and the governor wants to put as much distance in that as possible. Leaving the home for essential activities is permitted. For the purpose of this executive order, individuals may leave their homes or residence only to perform any of the following, which are deemed to be essential activities. Health and safety. To engage in activity, task essential to the health or safety, to the health and safety of their family, household members, purpose who are unable or should not leave their homes, including but not limited to pets, such as, by the way of example and without limitation, seeking emergency service pertaining to medical supplies, medication, or visiting a healthcare professional. Also, you're allowed for necessity supplies and service to obtain groceries, gas, things such as that. You can engage in outdoor activities provided they comply with the social distancing requirement, which is 6 feet and no more than 10 people. By way of example, without limitation, walking, hiking, biking, running. Individuals may go to public parks and open outdoor recreational areas. However, public access playgrounds may increase the spread of COVID-19 and therefore shall be closed. But you can still ride a bike. You can still walk. You can still, do other things. For certain type of works, to perform work, providing essential products and services, essential businesses or operation, which, defined below, includes essential government functions, healthcare and public health operation, human services operation, and essential infrastructures. You can also come out to take care of others, to take care of elderly people and those vulnerable as a result of illness should also take additional precautions. People at high risk of severe illness from COVID-19 include elderly people, those who are sick. They are urged to stay in their residence to the extent possible, except as necessary to seek medical care. Healthcare and public health operations, you can leave there. However, fitness and exercise gyms, spas, beauty salons, barbershops, tattoo parlors, and similar facilities are not included in healthcare and public health operation, therefore they must be closed. Human service operations include but not limited to long-term care facilities, daycare centers, daycare homes, group daycare homes, residential setting, shelters for adults, seniors, children, and or people with development disability, intellectual disability, substance use disorders, and or mental illness. Essential infrastructure for the purpose of this executive order may leave their home and residence in order to provide any service to perform any work necessary, offer provisional, operate, maintain, and repair essential infrastructure. Also allowed to leave your home for essential governmental functions. Also business covered by this order. For the purpose of this executive order, covered businesses include any for-profit, non-profit, or educational entities, regardless of the nature of service, the function is performed or its corporation or entity structure. Essential business operations. On March 19, 2020, U.S. Department of Homeland Security, Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security issued memorandum on identification of essential critical infrastructure workers during COVID-19 response. Definition of the essential business and organizational responsibility includes all the workers identified which may be found or accessed on the following link. Stores that sell groceries and medicine, you're allowed to go. Food, beverage, and agriculture. Food, beverage manufacturers, produce processing, cultivation, including farming, livestock, fishing, baking, and other production agricultures, including cultivation, marketing, production, and distribution of animal and goods for consumption, and businesses that provide food, shelter, and other necessities for life for animals, including animal shelters, rescue shelters, kennels, and adopting facilities. Organizations that provide charitable and social services, you're allowed to get to. The media, newspaper, television, radio, and other media services. Gas station and businesses needed for transportation. Gas stations and auto supply, auto repair, farm equipment, construction, boat repair and related facilities, and bicycle shops and such, financial and insurance institutions, hardware and supply stores, critical trade, building construction and other trades, including but not limited to plumbers, electrician, exterminators, operating engineers, cleaning and janitorial staff for commercial and governmental properties are all allowed. Mail, post, shipping, delivery, and pickup services, post office and other businesses that provide shipping and delivery services, as well as businesses that ship or deliver groceries, food, goods, vehicles, alcoholic and non-alcoholic beverages, or service to end users through commercial channels. Educational institutes, inconsistent with not appended to supersede any prior executive order. Laundry services, restaurants for consumption off premises only. Restaurants, bars, taverns, and other facilities that prepare and serve food, but only for consumption off premises, although such means as in-house delivery, third-party delivery, drive-through, curbside pickup, and carry-out. The foregoing is addressed in Executive Order 20-04 and 20-10. The in-person dining prohibition staff shall enforce under the pursuant to the proceed to describe Executive Order 2010. Schools and other entities that typically provide food services to students or members of the public may continue to do so under this executive order, provided to students or members of the public or a pickup or takeaway base only. No other consumption on the property is allowed. You can't go inside and eat. Supplies to work from home, businesses that sell, manufacture, or supply products needed for people to work from home. Supplies for essential business operations, you can still work from home. Transportation as airlines, taxis, transportation network providers such as Uber and Lyft, vehicle rental service, paratransit, mariners, docks, boat storage, and other private, public, and commercial transportation and logistic providers necessary for the essential activities of other purposes expressly are authorized in this. Home-based care service, home-based care for adults, senior children, and or people with developmental disabilities, intellectual disabilities, or mental health illness, including caregivers such as nannies who may travel to the child's home to provide care, and other in-home service, including meal deliveries. Residential facility and shelters for adults, seniors, children, pet, and or people with developmental disability, intellectual disability, substance use disorder, or mental illness. Professional service, such as legal services, accounting, insurance, and real estate service, including appraisal and title services. Manufacture, distribution, and supply chain for critical products and industries, critical labor union functions, hotels, motels, to the extent they are used for lodging and delivery or carry out food services, funeral services, mortuary, cremation, burial, cemetery, and related services are allowed. Minimum basic operation for the purpose of the executive order Minimum basic operation is as follows, provided that the employee comply with social distancing requirement. There again, the 6 foot. Possible while carrying out such operations. The minimum necessary activities to maintain the value of the business's inventory, preserve the condition of its physical plant and equipment, ensure security, process payroll and employee benefit, or for related function. The minimum necessary activity to facilitate employees of the business being able to continue to work remotely from their residence. Essential travel, for the purpose of the executive order, essential travel includes travel for any of the following purposes. Individuals engaged in any essential travel must comply with all social distancing requirement as defined. Any travel that is related to the provision of or the access to essential activities, essential government function, essential business and operations, or minimum basic operations. B, travel to care for elderly minors, to care for elderly or minors, dependents, persons with disability or other vulnerable people, travel to and from educational institutions for the purpose of receiving material for distance learning, for receiving meals, and for other related services. Travel in order to return to a place of residence from outside the jurisdiction. Travel required by law enforcement or court order include to transport children pursuant to a custodial agreement. Travel required for non-residents to return to their place of residence outside of the state of Indiana. However, individuals are strongly encouraged to verify that their transportation out of Indiana remains available and functional prior to commencing such travel. Social distancing requirements. For the purpose of this executive order, social distancing requirements shall include maintaining at least 6 feet of social distancing from other individuals, washing hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds, as frequently as possible, or using hand sanitizer, covering coughs or sneezing into a sleeve, an elbow, not hands, regular cleaning high-touch surfaces, and not shaking hands. That's where they're requesting the elbow bumps. With respect to essential businesses and operations, as well as businesses engaged in minimum basic operations, they must take proactive measures to ensure compliance with the social distancing requirements, including the following. Designate 6-foot distances. If you're in line at a grocery store, you must maintain 6 feet between the person in front of you and the person behind you. Hand sanitizer and sanitizing products. Having hand sanitizers and sanitizing products readily available for employees and customers. Separate operating hours for vulnerable populations. Implementing separate operating hours for the elderly and vulnerable customers. This was done just this past weekend in Arizona. I've got a sister that lives out there. She said they called her up and told her with her age group, she could be there from 8 to 10 a.m. to get her groceries. Otherwise, she wasn't allowed to be in there. Online and remote access. Posting online whether a facility is open and how best to reach the facility and to continue services by phone or remotely. The intent of this executive order is to ensure that the maximum number of people self-isolated in their homes or residences to the maximum extent feasible, while also enabling essential services to continue in order to slow the spread of the COVID-19 to the greatest extent possible. When the individuals need to leave their homes or residence, whether to perform essential activity or to otherwise facilitate authorized activity necessary for the continuation of social and commercial life, they should at all times and as much as reasonably possible comply with the social distancing requirement. All provisions of this executive order should be interpreted to effectuate this intent. This executive order may be enforced by state and local law enforcement, as well as other governmental entities, such as state and local Department of Health, to the extent set forth in Indiana law, including but not limited to the emergency disaster law. However, with respect to the impersonal dining prohibition that was set forth in Executive Order 20-04, it shall be enforced pursuant to process described in Order 2010. Information and checklist for all businesses and employees. All businesses and employees, whether or not they are deemed to be essential under this executive order, are hereby ordered to take the following actions. Allow as many employees as possible to work from home by implementing policies in areas such as teleworking and video conferencing. Actively encourage sick employees to stay home until they are free of fever without the use of medication for at least 72 hours, that's 3 full days, and symptoms have improved for at least 72 hours and at least 7 days have passed since symptoms first began. Do not require a health care provider note to validate the illness or return to work of employees sick with acute respiratory illness. Health care provider, officers, medical facilities may be extremely busy and not able to provide such documents in a timely manner. Ensure that your sick leave policies are up to date, flexible, and non-punitive in order to allow sick employees to stay home to care for themselves, children, or other family members. Consider encouraging employees to do a self-assessment each day in order to check if they have COVID-19. Type symptoms are fever, cough, shortness of breath. Then you want to separate employees who appear to have acute respiratory illness from other employees. Send them home immediately. Restrict their access to the business until they have recovered. Reinforce key messages to all employees, including stay home when sick, use cough and sneeze adequate, practice hand hygiene, place posters in areas where they're most likely to see. Frequently perform enhanced environmental cleaning to accommodate touching service. Be prepared to change business practices if needed in order to maintain critical operation or supersede some of your overall operations. Identify alternative suppliers, prioritize customer service. Nothing in this executive order shall in any way alter or modify any existing local authority allowing the state, any local health department, or any other proper entity from ordering any quarantine or isolation that may require an individual to remain inside a particular residential property or medical facility for a limited period of time, including the duration of this public health emergency, or B, any closure of a specific location for a limited period of time. Saving clause, if any provision of this executive order or its application to any person or circumstances is held invalid by any court of competent jurisdiction, this invalidity does not affect any other provision or application of this executive order, which can be given effect without the invalid provision or application to adhere to this purpose. The provision of this order are hereby declared to be severable. This executive order is a supplement to and deemed to be part of Executive Order 20-2. It is so ordered. Testimony whereof Eric J. Holcomb have set his hand caused to be affixed to a great seal, State of Indiana, 23rd day of March, 2020. Eric J. Holcomb, Governor of Indiana. That's the nuts and bolts of the whole situation. One of the things they're trying to do is prevent this from being like it was in China. China didn't put any restrictions on right away. Therefore, the COVID-19 virus acted like a volcano. Everybody was doing what they wanted to do. Everybody was touching everybody, but everybody was in close proximity. What the Board of Health, State Board of Health, all the governor's staff, myself, and everybody else would like to see is abide by these rules and regulations, because we can make it a plateau instead of a volcano up here, to where after the end of April 6th, when this come about, maybe we can release the restrictions then, because what they're hoping for is you make a plateau here and it's not up here, and then it starts dropping off. With that, I thank everyone for watching this presentation. My office can be reached anytime. Leave a message. I'll be sure and get back with you. 765-472-2400. We can get through this, people. We need to abide by what's been set forth to us. It's not going to be all fun and games, but it could be a lot worse than what the outcome would be should we not adhere to what the governor would like to see us do. There again, I appreciate the fact of each and every one of the citizens of Peru doing their part. I've been in contact with several different organizations and stuff. We're getting volunteers in place for Meals for Wheels. Other organizations have contacted me about delivering food, delivering medicine for the elderly. And there again, it doesn't have to be the elderly. If you have COPD, if you are sick, don't go out and get it. If you can't get a hold of any organization to come and get it for you, call my office. There's nobody in there normally after 4 o'clock. However, the next day I always return all my calls, and we will see that somebody will pick up the medicine and bring it to you. With that being said, I'm going to end this conference tonight. Again, we can do this. We need to work together. as we always have in the past. And please, watch out for your neighbors. If you have an elderly neighbor, call them up. Or don't go inside their house. Just knock on the door and stand back and just check on them. Make sure that they're getting what they need. Make sure they've got food. I know a lot of the elderly don't like to ask for help, but if you see something going on, we are not cutting any of the emergency services in Peru. Our police department, our fire department, our ambulance service, our electrical department, water, sewage, street department, garbage department are going to be functioning. They will be continuing to serve the citizens of Peru. With that being said, I thank you for your time and your patience. May God bless everyone and have a great evening. Thank you.